When Nizam Salama set out from his tent shelter in southern Gaza last week to get food and supplies for his family, he was shot at, crushed by a desperate mob, and made it home alive, but empty-handed. On June 3rd, he and thousands of other desperate Palestinians approached an aid site set up by a group called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, when Salama said Israeli forces opened fire and people fell dead around him.
أنا شاهدت بعيني أكثر من حوالي 6 جثث على الأرض ملقاة، طبعا كان من ضمن امرأة مرمية على الشط، في شباب طبعا أطفال كانوا مرمية على الأرض، عارية نارية في الرأس، في الصدر، في الأقدام، 6 كانوا جثث لا حراك فيها، بالإضافة لمجموعة من الإصابات. بصراحة من كثرتها أنا صراحة مش قادر أقول لك عددها.
The Red Cross Field Hospital in Rafah received a mass casualty influx of 148 patients that Tuesday morning, the majority of them injured by gunshots. The International Committee of the Red Cross in a statement called it the highest number of weapon-wounded patients the hospital had ever received in a single incident. It recorded 27 deaths. It said survivors all said they were trying to reach the aid site.
This morning, Tuesday, as crowds moved along designated routes towards a humanitarian aid distribution point in northern Gaza, our soldiers identified several individuals who were deviating from the approved access route.
An Israeli government spokesperson said its forces had opened fire on a group of people they viewed as a threat and was investigating the incident. Salama said that while wire corridors were set up to funnel aid seekers, the scene devolved into a free-for-all of thousands of people.
حتى وصلت لمشارف المساعدات، وصلت المساعدات بتطلع ما وجدت مساعدات، وجدت آلاف مؤلفة من الناس، يعني زحف بحري بشكل مش طبيعي، وكل واقف يسحب بالكراتين على الأرض اللي أصلا ما فيش أصلا فيها شيء. حاولت أعمل زيهم، دخلت في المعترك اللي بين الناس، لكن للأسف الشديد وجدت صفر كبير جدا جدا جدا. بدأت الناس سيل الناس هو اللي يعني بيحاول يقدمك، وانت بتحاول تراجع، لانه صراحه حسيت ضلوعي بدأت تخش في بعضها، صدري بدأ يخش في بعضه، النفس ما فيش نفس.
Salama is a university professor among the more than 2 million Palestinians displaced by Israel's invasion. Reuters could not verify all the details of his experience, but his account, Reuters interviews with aid agencies and 2 other aid seekers, along with authenticated video of the aid delivery process and locations nearby, reveal a highly dangerous, humiliating process that excludes the most vulnerable from directly receiving aid deliveries. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation's operation on the ground is overseen by a U.S. logistics company run by a former CIA agent. Sources told Reuters GHF's security is provided by U.S. military veterans working for a private contractor. GHF has only been operating since the end of May. It has been heavily criticized by other aid groups. The foundation told Reuters it coordinates with the Israeli army for access. Last week, it urged the Israeli military to improve civilian safety beyond the perimeter of its operations. GHF said it had delivered enough aid for more than 11 million meals and was looking to open more distribution points. It has paused deliveries several times after almost daily shooting incidents against crowds on their way to and from the sites.
I'm in the emergency department at the NASA complex. We've had a shooting at the GHF Aid Distribution Center near Rafah.
At one of the GHF delivery sites in Rafah, aid seekers queued in the fenced corridors leading to an area surrounded by sand barriers where packages of supplies were left on tables and in boxes on the ground, the GHF CCTV showed. Mohammed Abu Jazar queued up for one such site last week.
معين مثلا الساعة 3 بده يبدأ يفتح مركز التوزيع تاع المساعدات. بنتوجه احنا الساعة 3 بنلاقيهم طالعين الناس بكابونات بشيء يعني بتكاتك على كرات سيارات نص نقل على ظهورهم اكياس محملين بمسافة ما بنوصل جوا بنلاقي الكراتين الفاضية. بنقعد ندور بين الكراتين على اساس نحصل على لقمة عيش. وين صدفه لما نصطدم حتى نلاقي كرتونه وبنتكاتل عليها الناس كلها هيتنا انا وربط اسره تانيين نتقسمها بالنص.
There are now reports that Israeli forces are firing on Palestinians trying to get aid from the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation.
The White House last week said it was investigating reports of killings at the aid sites and accused the media of publishing unverified information about the casualties.
The administration is aware of those reports, and we are currently looking into the veracity of them because, unfortunately, unlike some in the media, we don't take the word of Hamas with total truth. We like to look into it when they speak.
Previous aid deliveries into Gaza have been handled by the United Nations, which says it has over 400 distribution points for aid in the territory and large volumes of supplies ready to enter. But Israel says it will not allow the UN to resume aid deliveries, saying they have previously been hijacked by Hamas in order to maintain control over Gaza's population. Hamas has denied stealing aid, and the UN has rejected the accusation that its aid operations help Hamas. Juliet Touma is with UNRWA, the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees.
It's a very humiliating model where there's very little information about where the aid is going to be distributed. In a very patchy way of communications that's based a lot on rumors, which creates anxiety among very desperate people. All we're saying is there is a model, that model worked. We delivered directly to people. There was no aid diversion. Let's go back to that model.
Touma also criticized the type of aid coming from GHF. She said many would struggle to cook the flour and pasta in the packages. Fuel is scarce in Gaza since Israel blockaded aid for nearly 3 months after resuming military operations against Hamas on March 28th when a ceasefire ended. A global hunger monitor warned on May 12th that nearly 500,000 people in Gaza face starvation and that more than 70,000 are already suffering acute malnutrition.
السبيل الوحيد وهو احنا شايلين ارواحنا على كفنا على اساس نطعم اطفالنا. هذا هو، هي اصغر طفل عندي، هذا شو ذنبه بالحرب؟ هذا الطفل شو ذنبه؟ مين بده يطعميه؟ مين بده يعتني فيه؟ من علاج، من اكل، من ملبس، من مشرب، من امان، ابسط الحقوق امان.